All right. It's that time. It's time for Beyond Sight and Sound. Let's do this.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoops' company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That for you bottle diggers and collectors out there, that time is upon us once again for the 2019 Little Rhodey Bottle Club Bottle Show in Taunton, Massachusetts. The bottle show is at the Holiday Inn, 700 Miles Standish Boulevard, Taunton, Massachusetts, January 13th. If you're a hardcore bottle collector, utilize their special early admission of $15 to get into the show at 8:30 and find those valuable pieces for your collection before general admission starts at 9:30 for $3. For further information, you can contact Bill or Linda at Sierra Madre at Comcast.net or call 508-880-4929 for further details. Remember, that's January 13th, Holiday Inn, 700 Miles Standish Boulevard, Taunton, Massachusetts. Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show. All right, the fine print's out of the way, and it's time to roll with the show. We're back, and we're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. And as I look into the chat tonight, good grief, you guys are already all fired up. I see Chuck's in, Jason, Jim, the Bills are in, Mark from down in Florida, Earl in Virginia, Mr. Ken. Who can forget Ken from DETECTEES.com? Once again, going live here in the studio. I am sporting one of the Detectee hoodies, the Beyond Sight and Sound Detectee hoodie, as a matter of fact, this time. I know Sunday it was the Relic Hunter hoodie, but tonight it is the Detectees Beyond Sight and Sound hoodie. Link in the description where you can get your Beyond Sight and Sound apparel at as well. I see Doug's in there from Awesome Relics, New England. Mark, obviously, dropping in from Adventures in History. If you haven't checked out his Facebook group, go ahead and check it out. A lot of great Facebook groups out there. So in the description, we've got the links to our friends over at Shooters and Prospectors. The man with the plan, Mr. Chuck Smalley, the dealer of choice, the dealer we like to promote here on the show. See his banner at the top of the page. It looks nice up there. That's why we like to keep it there. Also, we've got our friends over at Extreme Scoops. Their link in the description. Our friends at DETECTEES, our friends at XP Team USA, their podcast every other Friday, the Facebook group, and the website of XP Team USA. We do put out blogs every Friday afternoon over there. And you can see the other XP field reps across America on the website there. Also, you'll see we have removed the link for the Great Metal Detecting Christmas giveaway. That all went great over the weekend, and we do have those prizes shipped out. I believe the detector I shipped out Monday was delivered to that lucky kid this afternoon. So, very good for him. Also, below that, you will see the link to Tony Eisenhower's YouTube channel. Or you can get to it by bringing up Chrome, Google, whatever you want to use, and punching in idigbeaches.com, and you'll be able to find it that way as well. And for those of you that follow the Beyond Sight and Sound Facebook page, I don't know if I got it out to any of the groups yet or not. Shared it right before we went live. There is a video up on the Beyond Sight and Sound page of the Equinox air testing with gold targets that I spoke about Sunday on the show that Tony had put out on his YouTube channel. Take a moment after the show and check that out if you'd like, if you're interested in that. And check out some of the rest of the videos that he's got on there. If you like what he's doing, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and keep track of everything that Tony's up to out in the nicer weather there in California. So other than that, I think I've ran on long enough. Let's get Tony in here too. How's it going tonight, Tony?
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to go all the way the heck back to the start of this damn program.
Right.
But I will tell you that I'm located in Southern California, just a little bit north of San Diego, a little town called Poway, California, and it's a little bit further north than Escondido, or a little bit quite a bit north of Orange County. And it's inland about 20 miles, and so it's not that far for me to go to get to the beach.
Yeah, you don't have far to travel at all for the beach, then.
No, not really. And it's pretty much a straight shot. There's a beach called Del Mar. I usually call it Delta Mike, and it's just almost a straight shot out, all freeway until I hit the ocean. So it's pretty nice, pretty easy to get to.
Nice.
You asked me about how I started in the hobby. My old man got me started back in the late 70s. He actually started hunting in the early 70s with a buddy of his that lived up in Tarzana, which is in the San Fernando Valley, which is just out of Los Angeles. And this guy owned a whole bunch of property up in the Tarzana Hills, up above his homestead, and up in those hills was an old trail, was an old stagecoach stop. And he just hunted the living begonias out of that thing up there with his machine. And he got my dad really interested. My pop bought an old white silver eagle, wow. And they both hunted together. He found an old pince nez glasses and a whole bunch of really cool relics right around the area where they had that stage stop, and it just kind of got me charged up. And so I used to go out with him in the late 70s, and I used to hunt. I'd dig for him. He'd find the target, and I'd dig because he had bad knees. So that's kind of where I started, and then I guess probably it was just kind of off and on. He passed in 2014. I actually got his metal detector. He gave me the old whites, and I started kind of hunting in the dry sand up in the beaches and stuff up in the LA area, Doheny and some of those beaches up north, and some of the stuff down here. And I did okay, and it didn't really. I couldn't really get into it really heavily because I was still working at the time. I owned and operated a sheet metal shop just down south of here, and it was pretty busy. Plus, I was into photography, and there was and theater. I had too many things on the pie.
Yeah, a lot of pokers in the fire.
Absolutely. So I couldn't really get into metal detecting 100%. Then when I retired back in God, I guess about 2005 or something like that. Around 2005 I retired and got into, and then really got heavily into it. I found Max Gravedigger Max's channel, and he inspired me to get to walk out onto the beach more. And so I purchased a Mind Lab. Well, actually, first I bought a little Garrett AT Pro, which is a nice little unit. Bought all the coils available for it. Hunted with that quite a bit on the dry. I didn't even think about going onto the beach, and then I got involved. But then I started watching Max's videos, and that hooked me to get onto the beach.
So Max's videos kind of spurred you to hit the beaches. Yeah,
I would hate like heck to have him know this, but he's kind of my mentor. He actually was. He actually did inspire me to start hunting on the beach, and so I bought an XCal 2 and modified that 11 begonias out of that thing. I figured out how to mount an external pinpoint switch on the handle. I did all the things that I was a kind of a YouTube-aholic at the time. I was watching all the metal detecting channels and getting all kinds of ideas.
I sense you've seen a few of Joe Beechnut's videos too. Then.
Yeah, a few exactly. And then I joined the TheRingFinders because that seemed like a kind of a neat thing to do. It made a lot of cool returns. But that's basically the history. Up till now, I started making videos about 3-4 years ago, and I put out maybe 300 or so videos since then, which is it's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. You do have quite a number of different videos up there, not just of the hunting, but also of some of the modifications and other things that you've been doing with machines.
Yeah, I try to keep it interesting. I try to keep because there are a lot of people who are interested in the gear as well as the actual getting out there and doing the hunting, and I really don't know why there are so many people that are interested in seeing somebody out there just swinging a quill over the sand. But apparently, it has its charm because there's a lot of folks watching.
Yeah, there is kind of a niche base of viewers for things like that. I know I certainly enjoy watching your videos, and especially for some of us, once we get into winter, where the ground's locked up for us, we can't really get out. It's because of folks like you out west and down in Florida and in the Gulf and areas like that we're able to kind of live vicariously through your videos then, because you guys are still able to get out.
Yeah, I mean, don't count out the weather out here. I mean, it gets really damn cold out here. I mean, this morning it got down into the 70s or so. I mean, it was really, really nippy. I had to put on my hoodie. They didn't hear that gag from before. You didn't have me turned on.
Well, and I do know, like I said, I see Mark in the chat. He did make a comment that he doesn't dig below 60, so I'm sure he can relate. We've often joked with him that he has an emergency piece of firewood just in case it gets cold in Florida.
Yeah, wow. I can't imagine it being that. Well, actually, I can too. I understand it does snow in Florida occasionally. I don't know where the heck it would snow, but it does get nippy in Florida, from what I understand. Yeah, it does not really get that nippy here. I mean, occasionally it'll drop below freezing in Poway, which is where I live, 20 miles inland, maybe once or twice for a couple hours of the day, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But on the coast, it's always temperate because of it has that kind of that northwest wind that swoops over the water, and it kind of keeps it at a certain air conditioning at a certain temperature. So it never really gets super cold unless we get a really weird true north wind.
Right. Which that does bring up a good point. I mean, obviously, with you doing the beach hunting, I'm sure that, like every other beach and water hunter, you watch your environment. You like to watch for the cuts and the troughs and all of that. But on the East Coast, sometimes they're really watching and hoping for a big nor'easter to cut those beaches hard. What do you guys do out west?
Well, I'm kind of about the same thing. I mean, the storms are kind of few and far between down here, so we don't get any kind of storms. Well, maybe one or maybe very, very rarely will we get any kind of a storm in the summertime or in the spring or fall. But our storms are pretty much, at least down here, pretty much in the winter, and even then, they're never really all that big. We rarely have an event where it just washes, where it really, really washes the sand away. Most of the time, it washes the sand in, unfortunately. But I've watched the guys out there on the East Coast. I mean, I tell you what, I just envy the hell out of you guys out there, because you do have you've got the monster storms that just really tear the heck out of it. Plus you got targets. You guys are a lot older out there than we are here. There's people that have been walking around the beaches out there a whole heck of a lot longer than they've been walking around them out here. I mean, there's not too many Native Americans that had coins in their pockets when they were out there sprinting on the beach here and back in.
Right. Yeah, I can certainly relate with that. So it's a different style of hunting, because out on, say, the East Coast, like you had mentioned, there's quite a bit of history out there. There's been occupation for hundreds of years, and a lot of these places have been tourist destinations, I guess we could say, for many, many, many years, 200 years, more. But out west, it's probably more a game of modern drops or, the pieces of jewelry.
That's exactly it. That's you don't expect to find anything, any kind of a colonial item or even a Civil War item on the beaches out here, or even walking around the dry, and they just don't exist. Whereas, God, I would just really just love to go out there and hunt some of those pasture lands that you guys got on that side of the continent. I really would like. In fact, it's on my bucket list to go out and hunt on the Gold Coast, or go up to Virginia Beach and some of those places where I'm watching guys pull in 3 or 4 rings a day, or all kinds of cool jewelry.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
what
I don't do too bad here. I can't really complain. I've had some really good luck, but
oh yeah.
But I think I think you gotta. I don't know for sure, but I think in order for you to be able to get to be able to do equal finding of cool stuff, you're gonna need to work a little bit harder out here on the West Coast, because they're gonna be a little bit fewer and far between. Unless unless you're going to be hunting, directly after a big holiday or something in the summertime, and then your chances go up pretty good.
Right.
People come out
when everybody's been brought out to the beach.
Yeah, well, people come out. This is a destination spot for vacationers and for people who get married, et cetera, and they come out here and they in the summertime and they slather themselves up with that suntan oil and stuff, and they walk out in that cold-ass Pacific Ocean, and all this stuff just falls off of them. And so, it's kind of nice to be there when they're not, go out there where the water was.
Right, yeah. So obviously then you do play the game of tides, I've seen on your videos. So you do get out in the water. How far out do you normally go? How deep do you normally hunt?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was younger, a year ago, I was actually going up to my neck, but it's just too much, it's so damn much work. I guess, but lately, I probably don't go out any deeper than my chest. And I don't do that unless it's summertime, when I can actually do that without a wetsuit. But without waders. I do hunt with waders, and so I'm out there at least up to my waist most of the time. And I'll only do that when there's a good low tide.
Well,
it doesn't make a lot of...
And many times that's plenty far enough.
Yeah. And I think I probably get wetter than most guys do out there. I think that most guys just like to hunt the dry. But yeah, I'm out there. I've scubaed and I've done a lot of free diving and a lot of snorkeling on some of the little coves around. But I don't do that quite so much anymore. I'm starting to feel my 72 years, man.
Well, you don't sound it.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
You don't sound it at all, and it seems like you get around very well on the beaches too.
Well, like I said, it's all smoke and mirrors. You can do a lot of stuff with Photoshop to make things look like it really ain't. Nah, not really. Nah, I really do get out there.
Right. Yeah, you do, well, when you're not busy with everything else going on or building headphones.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's been you were aware of the fact that I do manufacture the custom headphones for the Equinox. I also make them for the guys with Excaliburs too. They'll send me their Excals and I'll put headphones on them for them that are just a whole heck of a lot better than what ordinarily comes with them, which is at least in my humble opinion. But the headphones that I build for the Nox are really, really nice headphones. They're based on an MSA hearing protection ear muff, and I manufacture my own drivers with 2-inch piezo's on it that are mounted to phenolic plates that I attached inside inside the cups, and then everything is all either silicone or epoxy together. I make my own little connectors for the connector for the Equinox is proprietary. You can't buy them unless you get them from either from Mine Lab or somebody that makes them. I think Grey Ghost now makes them, and I think there's a few other companies out there that manufacture headphones that have that connector on them. But I was the first, and what happened is that when the Nox came out, the Equinox came out, I got one right away. I was actually able to get on the list to get a machine right away, and it was obvious to me that I needed to have something to use in the water because the wireless just didn't work, and so I developed this set of headphones, and it worked really good. I made a video out of it and showed people what it looked like, and then I actually got kind of a little niche because at the time Mine Lab didn't have their own, and nobody else had waterproof headphones, and so for the first couple of months after the Equinox came out, I was busier than hell making headphones for people. I mean, right. I really stuck my foot in it. I mean, it was a lot bigger than I ever expected it to be, and so several hundred headphones later, I'm still making them. So.
Well, and apparently they do work very well because I have heard nothing but good reviews about them. I know Gravedigger Max likes his. Gigmaster, he has a pair. He really likes them too. They just seem like a good quality pair.
Yeah, they've got some pretty good press. I don't advertise, and so I just wait till somebody. It's strictly by referral. Or by whoever happens to just trip over my video on them, but just word of mouth. I've made quite a few of them, and they do seem to have a pretty good appeal for guys who want to do more than just wade with them. Of course you can't go too deep with an Equinox anyway, but these things will definitely go. If I put my headphones on an Excalibur, they're good at depth. They're good at that 200 feet. They are that waterproof. So they're going to far exceed the capability of the Equinox as far as how far down it can go. The only drawback on that thing is the connector. It's only designed for a couple meters. It's just the nature of the beast.
Which works out okay though, with the Equinox only being good for 10 feet to begin with.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is that it's definitely as good as that and better. If you I mean, there are people who actually do scuba with them, who have scuba with them. But like with I don't know if you know it or not, but when you scuba with headphones, it's really, really troublesome because because the bubbles from the regulator just make it almost impossible to hear anything on the damn headphones.
Absolutely.
So regardless of how good your headphones happen to be, you're still going to have to hold your breath a little bit when you're swinging the coil if you want to hear it.
Right. But and that's the thing that I've heard from some of the other people, the audio volume that's coming out of the headphones that you make is still very, very good. You don't really have much problem hearing them when you're on the beach and you've got the surf action going or the other ambient noise.
Yeah, they've I mean, I don't know how much I can tell you on this thing because I don't want to diss anybody else's product. I mean, right. I mean, everybody has. I mean, there are some really good. Gregos makes a really fine product. I understand that Patriots are really. In fact, I bought these. I bought a set of each one of these machines to test them against mine, of different types of headphones. I bought pretty much every one of them, and just in every case. The headphones that I build exceed the other ones in decibels in full volume by at least 10 dBA. So they're definitely louder. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that they also sound better. Like I sound like I'm trying to push these damn things. I'm really not trying to push my headphones. I'm really not, man. I want to get back on the beach. It's okay because I don't mind making them. But on the other hand, I really don't need a job, man. I did that for a long time. Working.
Right, exactly. And that kind of cuts into the digging time.
It does. It definitely does.
So you wound up you hit the beach with the Excalibur. And obviously, did the mods weren't doing very bad at all with the Excalibur. I've seen some of the older videos. What prompted you to go to the Equinox?
YouTube. We just I mean, everybody seemed to before they came out, everybody with that was such huge hype on the Equinox that you couldn't hardly help but get hooked. Before they even came out. Yeah, and so. And, the machine's cheap. I just decided that it couldn't hurt anything to give it a shot. And after watching that thing, the opening gun that when they had them out there in Europe, I can't remember the name of that show, but they were doing stuff that looked like it might be pretty darn comparable to the Deus as far as what it could do.
Yes.
And I'm familiar somewhat with what the Deus can do, so it just looked like it was just an obvious choice. Plus, the lightweight of the thing. It's just there's so many really, really good reasons to have that Equinox, and probably the biggest one is the fact that it's featherweight. Man, you can swing that bloody thing all day long.
Oh, I agree. Lightweight, waterproof, rechargeable. How can you go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it is fast. It's smoking fast. And now they have all the coils available. At least I think that they're all the coils available. That little small 5-inch, and they also have the 15. I've got the 15, and I'll tell you, I probably won't put the stock coil back on again. That 15 is wonderful.
Right. I was going to say I believe the first outing I think with the 15-inch coil for you got a nice 18 karat gold ring.
As a matter of fact, yeah. Yeah, that's a cool ring. 18 karat gold with phony diamonds or phony ice. Fake ice.
Still a nice looking ring, though.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with you using the 15-inch coil, because I've seen you've been out with it a few times now. What do you think of it as far as the depth you're seeing from it and the target separation versus the 11-inch coil?
Well, there's no doubt about the fact that it goes deeper. I mean, it not only does it go. I mean, you can see it even in an air test, and you can try it in the sand. I've actually compared it against a buddy of mine who actually has an Equinox with just this regular coil in it, and we tried them back and forth. And it gets an additional 1, maybe 2 inches on a quarter. in the sand, as long as there's not a lot of mineralization. We get terrible mineralization here in the sand out here on my beaches, so it masks a lot of the targets, so it doesn't go quite as deep as it does in clean sand.
Right.
But it does go deep. It definitely goes deeper. As far as target separation is concerned, I don't know. And the reason I don't is because target separation is really not an issue for me in the sand where I'm hunting. You know, I'm not hunting relics, and so I really don't care about nails and that kind of crap. Beeping over the top of those or nulling over the top of those to be able to catch a silver dime. That's not my gig. Mm-hmm. If my machine makes a noise, there's usually not anything next to it. It's usually just it's usually what it is. It is, it's going to be a ring, and it's not going to be nothing next to it. So,
right.
So the target separation isn't really something that I'm really too concerned about. But I have tested the target separation, and it's pretty darn incredible. I mean, it zip zops over the top of targets.
Well, and it stands to
very
reason,
cleanly.
And it stands to reason too. As a beach hunter, a 15-inch coil is going to be more desirable for you than, say, an 11-inch coil in a lot of situations because of the ground coverage.
Yeah, well, the footprint is huge for me, particularly because I like I said, I'm a member of the TheRingFinders, and so I like to cut. So when I'm looking for something like a lost piece of jewelry, it's nice to have that big footprint. Because you're not going to be going that deep. You don't need to go that deep to find somebody's ring that got lost yesterday. So
right.
So it's good to have that big paintbrush. When you're hunting, and just pretty much for anything else. I mean, it's not going to be as sensitive, I don't think, on something like a chain. One of the things they tout about the Equinox is the fact that it can find chains, gold chains, and it can. I mean, I've actually seen it happen. Mm-hmm. But it will miss. It's really fine chains. I think on that video I showed you that you couldn't even pick up that little tiny fine chain that I had. But with the smaller coil, it definitely is going to be more sensitive than the 15 on chains and stuff like that. It just is. It's not going to find smaller targets at depth. It just isn't going to do it.
Right.
But
that also stands to reason.
Stuff that I like to find.
Yeah, that also stands to reason. The larger the coil, you are going to lose at least a little bit of sensitivity to the smaller targets like that.
Yeah, afraid so. There's no perfect world, when it comes to coils.
Right, yeah, if there was one perfect machine and coil out there, we'd all be using it.
Well, I know for sure I would. It's for darn sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing that I did find very interesting about your videos is one of the recent ones, I think you had even said, between running the Excalibur 2 and running the Equinox, you're not seeing any loss of depth there either. The Equinox performs just as well, if not better, than the Excalibur 2.
Well, I think if you're talking about the video that I'm thinking of, I actually find myself feeling like I'm digging deeper with the Equinox. After you use a machine for years and years and years, after a while you get an idea that you get a feeling for about how far that thing is punching down by virtue of how deep you got to dig with that scoop.
Right.
And I just feel like I'm digging deeper with the scoop with the Equinox. Now, I could probably test that, and I probably should, just drop some coins in the sand and check it out. But it is what it is, man. I mean, it's going to go down 10, 12 inches on a quarter in clean sand.
Right.
And that's deep enough for me. I don't know if I want to go digging much deeper than that. Like I said, I'm feeling the 72.
Right. I know. I've seen some of them targets that you've recovered where you were, it looked like you were at least 3-4 scoops deep.
Yeah. It can get my heart going there pretty good. It should get you breathing pretty good.
Yeah. That's a lot of sand to heave out.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of the reasons why when I'm hunting in sand, that's one of the reasons I like to use that lightweight Ukrainian scoop. It's just a lot easier to. It's faster to get back into the hole after you dump a bunch of sand out, and it just seems to be it's just a nice scoop to have summertime. But I got to tell you, if you're listening, John, that XTREME scoop is a monster. That son of a gun is a rock digging SOB. It is really, really nice when it gets to be any kind of cruddy stuff. When you really got to put the pressure on the back of that scoop, I want that XTREME scoop out there with me. It's a good piece of gear.
I use an XTREME scoop myself. As a matter of fact, we run a commercial for XTREME scoops at the beginning of the show, and I really like the added support there on the back of the scoop.
Yeah. You can push it hard, and it's been because of the fact it's thicker. It just doesn't seem to get damaged quite so much when it's because when you get into really rocky stuff. It's almost impossible to punch that thing down. You really got to wiggle it back and forth. You got to rock it and move it and move it. When you finally do get the scoop down deep enough into the sand and rocks, then you got to mule back on it. When you do that, and you got a lot of rocky, it can bend a scoop really, really easy. It can collapse the bottom of it.
Oh yeah, and, I mean we're putting them through a lot of rigorous stress out there.
Yeah, you're expecting an awful lot out of this stainless steel, which bends fairly easy. But this machine or this particular piece of gear is definitely worthwhile. I really like it.
Nice. And do you? I'm trying to remember. Do you run your scoops with carbon fiber handles or the ash handles? Always
carbon fiber. Nothing but carbon fiber. I'm all about lightweight.
Right.
It's got to be light. There's nothing light about the XTREME, even with the carbon fiber handle. But it's I'm sure that it's a lot lighter than if I had a wooden handle on the thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been using carbon fiber ever since I started on the beach. I don't think I've ever had anything. Oh well, actually, when I first started, I had a fiberglass handle on the first stobber that I had, and it was a rake handle from Home Depot. And I reinforced the bottom of it with a piece of hardwood dowel, and that worked pretty good. But it was still heavy.
Right.
The carbon fiber handles are really nice.
Oh yeah, I love them.
Particularly the ones. The one that I really like is the one from what is it? What's the machine? The machine company that Stealth Scoops has. It's something machine. Anyway.
Yeah, you're talking about the carbon fiber handles that Stealth offers.
Yeah, that's the one I have on my stobber, and it has those reverse fish scales on the thing. It works pretty good.
Nice. So non-slip grip, basically.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it wears out. It wears down after a while, but when it's new, it really feels good on your hands. It's easy to pull that stuff out of the water, or out of the hole.
So, in your opinion, somebody looking to get into beach and water hunting, the Equinox is definitely a cost-effective means, because now we're looking at a machine. Granted, it's not as deep as far as waterproof capabilities to the Excalibur, but look at the price point.
Yeah, I personally think mine was kind of set the bar with this thing. I mean, it's a formidable machine for not that much money. And for anybody to compete with that, they're gonna have to start hustling. Garrett's gonna have to get off their butts and come up with something that's close to that. I mean, the AT. I understand the AT Max is pretty darn good, but I know for a fact that you can't use the AT Max in saltwater. At least not on my beaches. It just isn't going to work.
Right. And I've heard good things about the Amphibio, but
yeah, me too.
It's heavier than the Equinox, and sometimes ounces make a world of difference when you're out there swinging that coil for a few hours.
Yeah. It compares favorably. I think it did. Gigmaster do that? Did Steve do that? No, he doesn't have one yet.
Yeah,
somebody else.
I'm not sure if Steve's got one yet or not, but I have seen some a couple of water hunters that they've been talking about the Amphibio, and so far they've had high remarks for it. A few relic hunters too.
Yeah. I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like that squeaky sound. I like the sound that my Mind Labs make.
Right. That was the big plus for me there as well, because I also run a Deist too.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta admit, it took me a while to wrap my head around the tones of the Deus. I had said many times if they could just come out with an update for the Deus that made it sound like a Mind Lab, I'd be set. But
that would be unique.
Yeah. I mean, I did eventually get used to the tones, but then when I picked up an Equinox, because I do use an Equinox as well, it was almost like old hat to me. I threw on the headphones and yeah, this is so nice. That's what I'm talking about. These are the tones I'm used to.
Yeah, and that really is all it really is. It's what you get used to. I mean, my Mind Lab also makes this, that CTX 3030 that doesn't sound anything at all like my machine. So,
right.
Because of the Excalibur and this machine sounds so much like it, it's like you said, it's like old home week. It's a good solid sound. I like them, and they sound good on my headsets, on my headphones. So I guess that's the other reason I like them.
That's another plus.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So, how many returns have you done for folks out there in California?
Oh God, I don't know. The organization, the RingFinder organization, wants you to put your videos or your pictures and your stories on their book of smiles, and it's a good thing to do. But man, oh man, I'm so far behind on that thing. I'll never ever catch up. I mean, I probably have a half a dozen of them on that thing, and I know that I've had well over 100, I guess, returns since I started with RingFinders.
I know what you mean. They really love you to put the story up there, and one of these days maybe I'll do that. But I keep forgetting to. There's just so many other things to do, and so very few of mine ever make it up there either.
Yeah, the thing of it is that who's gonna see them? I mean, there's only people are going to look at them. Probably are going to be other RingFinders, guys that are part of the organization, and I don't know. I'm not interested in watching that. Looking at seeing other guys' returns. I mean, I like mine. But,
right, going well. Mine are cool enough. I don't need to see that. I'm going to go out and find my own.
yeah. You see one return, you've seen them all. Really.
You did not too long ago, though, have an interesting call for a return. Would you like to share that one?
I'm not which one are we talking about?
You got called out for one that seemed like it was probably going to be just about impossible. And even though it was returned, you're not the one that found it.
Oh, that was a kick. That was such a kick. She was such a sweetheart too. She's really a neat kid. Called me out on a ring. She and her boyfriend got into a spat, and they were walking along a sidewalk down that near the beach in Del Mar, along a long stretch of road, and they got into a spat. And she said, if you feel that way about it, maybe you should just take this ring back. If you offered it back to the boyfriend, and he said, I don't want it. And she said, well, if you don't want it, I don't want it either. So she just took it and just tossed it to the side into the bushes next to the sidewalk. And then, of course, the writings on the wall, they made up, everything was cool and hokey dokey, and now she wants the damn ring back. And so they went down, they searched for that thing and couldn't find it, and they called me, and I went down. I said, okay, fine, I'll be happy to meet you there. And I went down, and I met her there on the sidewalk. Finally found a parking place, and I was using the Knox, and started a hunt, and it was obvious to me. I mean, that way, you gotta have relatively low lying bush or grass in order for a machine to work. It only goes so deep. But these bushes and these brambles were, they were like 2 feet high.
Yeah, they were up there.
Yeah, but it was spotty. There was a few areas that were short. There were a few areas that were tall, and there was various types of ground cover that's been planted in that area. And so I was kind of moving the coil in and around those bushes and trying to, I knew damn good and well I wasn't going to find it, because it was just the conditions were just terrible. But I found a lot of other junk, we found all kinds of crap, and we wandered on down. I guess I must have hunted for about 45 minutes, half an hour or so, and just nothing. And then finally I said, look, this is, I got to tell you, this is just pretty much impossible for me to be able to find this thing. My coil is only going to reach maybe 12 inches, and I'm swinging over the top of these things that are 14 inches. The only thing that might be able to do is might be possible to catch it if it happened to be caught in one of the bushes, but that's not likely. It's on the ground somewhere, and I can't swing the coil in there. I got to move the coil to the top. And she says, I understand. And so I said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll work my way back toward the car, and end up with Wilton Depp, but that's going to have to be it. She said, okay. And so she walked back to where she thought that she was found it. And I was swinging away, and all of a sudden she comes walking towards me, and she's got the ring in her hand. She actually found the ring herself in an area where I actually had swung the coil over the top of it, which the one few areas that was low enough that I probably could have found the damn thing if I would have just hunted a little bit slower. But she was so happy. She actually found it herself. She said that I brought her luck. I was a good omen.
Hey, there you go. It still worked out. She got her ring back.
Yeah. I said, what have we learned here? And she says, what? And I said, that you don't have a spat with your boyfriend. You just stay happy with him. So yeah. Thumbs up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good mantra to go by.
But she was a cutie. She actually got emotional from the whole thing when she brought it back to me. She was just so happy to get that thing back. And we just a little cheap ass little silver ring. It was no big deal, but that'll be a story that she will tell her grandkids one day, that she found the ring when she had hired or had a guy come out to help her try to find it with a metal detector. She found it herself. Good story.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought it was a great video to share because it just goes to show never give up. Even when it looks like, there's no chance of it being found, you never know. You could be just lucky enough to spot it by line of sight. Yeah.
In stark contrast to the many, many rings that I find that just people will call. They'll call me up and I just tell them to stay where you are, don't move from the spot, and I'll be there in 20 minutes. And usually, most of the time when I go to when I find rings for folks, the rings are on this dry sand. They've shaken them off a towel, or they've dropped them off out of a pocket or something, and so they got a pretty good idea where they are. And so I would say maybe 7 out of 10 times I find the ring within 5-10 minutes of getting to the site. I tell them to stand right exactly where they think, or the exact spot where they think they may have dropped the ring, the epicenter of where they may have dropped it, and then I'll just spiral out from that thing. And I tell you what, 7 out of 10 times, I imagine I actually come up with the ring.
That's not a bad success rate at all.
No, it really isn't. My success rate is significantly less than that when they lose it in the water. Those are a lot tougher.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You gotta have the right tides, and you gotta have all kinds of stuff going for you. Then the problem is, of course, is that they'll lose a damn ring, and then they'll call you back 2 days later. And of course, in that period of time, the thing is migrated out a little bit further, and it's worked, and it's winnowed its way down into the sand, another 6 inches or so, and so your chances are a lot worse. And you got to wait for the next low tide period, because you can't, I can't hunt in waist high water when in the wintertime when the surf is as big as it is right now. It just would be impossible.
Right.
You might be able to find it. You might be able to swing your coil over the top of it, but there's no way in hell you're going to dig it out of the sand. It isn't going to be had.
Right. Not to mention the fact that I'm sure it's no fun at all getting tossed around by them waves.
Yeah. I mean, you get knocked down by a wave in the ocean when you got that heavy scoop and you got the and you're hanging on to that $1,200 metal detector, and it kind of it's really, really hard to let go of them.
Oh yeah. That's what I tell some of the water hunters too. The people that they say they're water hunters, but they're freshwater hunters. they find themselves taken back a bit when they go to the coastal water hunting, because it really is a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it really is. You have to. It's all about timing, and it's all about But the water's a lot more turbulent. You know, there's just an awful lot of a lot more difficulty hunting in the surf than it is in a bay or in a freshwater lake.
Yeah, absolutely. A whole lot more variables.
Yeah. I like hunting bays. There's a couple of bays around. There's a place called Mission Bay, which is a little further south from me, and it's a huge body of several bodies of water. Actually, they're all connected together. That's down in San Diego, and a ton of activity down there with those water ski boats, whatever they call them, jet skis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They got jet ski landings and stuff all the way around that bay, and there's always good activity. The problem with it is that as good as it is, and the conditions are always calm, and it's easy to be able to it's really easy hunting and really easy digging. The problem is that it's kind of like hunting in a sewer. It's just really stinky, and it's bad. And it's the effluent of a lot of nasty stuff dumps into that bay. So it isn't my favorite place to hunt. I'll only go there if I'm really desperate.
When all else has failed, well, okay, we'll try this.
Yeah.
Are there much restrictions for you beach hunting out there?
Any restrictions? Not really. Parking restrictions that are a little further north, but you can always find a place to park and walk. There's nobody. At least down here. Now I understand that, like up in Los Angeles, like in some of the beaches up north are off limits after a certain period of time at night. Because of the possibility, because it's dangerous. There are tacky people that walk around the beaches up there that you want to avoid, and I think the cops are aware of that, and so they keep you off of some of the beaches that are up north, up in L.A. particularly.
Right.
But down here, you can pretty much hunt all throughout the whole night. I've never seen anybody get kicked off the beach down here. That I can think of.
Yeah, I have seen in a few of your videos you've been out well after dark.
Oh yeah. Well, you got like I said, man, you got to get out there where you got to get out where the water was, and that means that you got to and that's a matter of tide, and that's a matter of time. So
yeah,
watch
exactly.
The moon.
If the tide's going to be at low tide at 2:30 in the morning, well, that's when you got to be out there.
Yeah. And that, of course, is always during the summertime. The tides are, the low tides are early in the morning, and so that's usually when I'll find myself out there with my buddies, and after a big holiday, after the 4th of July or something happening like that. It's always fun to get back out there and see what the depositors have left.
Right. Do you, are there quite a few people in your area that are doing the beach hunting?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of clubs down here that go out quite often. I'm not a member of any of the clubs, but there's at least 2 of them that I know of, and they have occasional beach hunts that they go down and they hit the beaches. And then there's several ring finders that hit the beach, and then there's just quite a few guys that I know of that are just kind of in the group that I hunt with that go down there. So yeah, there's a apostle. But I'm retired, so most of the time when I'm on the beach, I don't really see an awful lot of people because I'm there when people are working. So it's a little better for me.
Right, you can kind of sneak in there while everyone else is at work.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. That does give a nice advantage at times.
Yeah, well, that and the fact that I can go during the times when there's not a lot of traffic too. I can beat the traffic because I can go when the traffic isn't, come back when the traffic isn't.
Right.
We definitely have traffic issues out here in Southern California.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, in the years that you've been doing the beach hunting now, because you said you have done some dry, but you are primarily a beach and water hunter, have you found, I would think it would stand to reason that your better finds have definitely come from the beach?
Yeah, for sure. I've never found a Rolex. I mean, that seems to be the thing that a lot of guys have found, that that's kind of like their bucket list find. Never found a Rolex. I've never found a gold coin. I guess there's a lot of guys that have found gold coins. I don't know where the hell they come from out here on the West Coast, but they have found them. But I have found some pretty nice things. I mean, there was I think I showed on one of the videos with one of the rings that I found was a 20-gram platinum and 18 karat gold honker of a ring. That's the biggest ring I've ever found. That was 20 grams.
Wow.
And then I did a couple years ago. I found a really nice designer watch. It was a lady's watch, and it was, I looked it up. I checked it out to see what it was worth, and it was worth around $6,000. It had a lot of diamonds in it. It was a Christian Dior watch, and it's absolutely stunning watch. And I found it 6 inches under the sand, just at the surf line at one of my favorite beaches.
Wow!
And
still work?
It was. Oh yeah, it was brand new. I mean, it looked like it had just come out of the wrapper. It was just amazing. So like I said, I actually had it assessed. And it was indeed worth around $6,000. And being the good ring finder that I am, I put it on Craigslist, and I left it there for months, and then I advertised it on my YouTube channel, and I tried to make everybody know that I had this damn thing, and knowing that they would have to describe it to me if they were going to get it back.
Right.
And I couldn't find the owner of it. Nobody fessed up. It was obviously belonged to somebody who was probably visiting from back east or something, and dropped it in the sand, and didn't even know they ever lost it. And so I couldn't find the owner. So I figured, what the hell, I'll pawn it. It's got to be worth a couple of bucks. And so I took it in to see how much my jeweler would give for it. And he was going to offer me like 10 cents on the dollar or something for the damn thing. It was a ridiculous amount of money that he was going to give me for it. And of course, you can't melt it down. There's no gold on it.
Right.
The diamonds are, that were in it were probably worth a lot of money. But diamonds not in the setting usually doesn't. They're not going to get that much money for them. So I gave it to my wife. Happy wife, happy life.
There you go. I'm sure she appreciated it.
She loves it, man. She wears it all the time. It's beautiful. Had to have it sized, but she does dig it.
Nice. And you figured that had to have been a tragic loss for somebody. I mean, we're not talking about a cheap watch.
No, but a lot of them are, though, Josh. To think about it, people go out there on these, they have wedding rings, and they've got rings that belong to their great-great-grandmother, and they've got, they're not, probably don't have, that much value in their, gold value or melt value. But man, right. These things carry memories that are just, that are priceless, and it is tragic. My wife has got two reactions when I bring home a really nice ring or a piece of jewelry. Her first reaction is, oh. And then her second reaction is, oh.
Nice. So do you remember back when you did your first ring return or your first returned item of anything?
Yeah, I think so. I was pretty close to the first one. I found a ring for a gal whose daughter lost her ring in a playground. Yeah, underneath a swing. No. My first return was not with RingFinders. I found a ring there's a school right across the street from me here where I live. Mm-hmm. And they have a bunch of practice fields out there for baseball and for soccer and for what's the ball? What's the game they play with nets? The girls play with them. It has the stick with the nets on the thing. It's
I'm drawing a blank.
Oh man, I can't. That's another problem with getting old. You forget stuff, you know. anyway, it's a practice field, and there's also a football field over there and a soccer field, and I found a little gold ring, it was a class ring, and I didn't really at the time. I was not connected with anybody, so I didn't have any connections. I didn't know exactly what the hell to do with the thing. My son happened to be in town, and he had graduated from the same school that this ring was for, and he said, "Well, God got you. You got to get a hold of the people at the school." And so he did. He called people to school, and they traced back this particular name that was inside the ring, and they found the gal, and the gal called me up, and I was able to return the ring to her. I mean, to talk about convoluted, I never would have gone that far with it myself, but because Jim did, he actually took the time and effort to track it all down, and it got put in the paper. It was a write up in our little local rag. It was kind of cool.
How long had it been lost before you found it? Did she happen to say?
It was 20 some years.
Nice. Yeah, so when you saw the reaction on her face, did that kind of like clinch it for you, going, "Oh yeah, I've definitely done the right thing. I need to do this more often"? Or
I think that probably is the deal. I think that probably wasn't a kind of inspirational to actually get to actually do it. I don't remember how I stumbled across RingFinders, but it was pretty obvious that when that particular opportunity came along, that was an obvious place to go. And the thing of it is, out here, you know how RingFinders work. You got to buy a beach or buy an area,
right?
And out here, I mean, everybody wants to be a ring finder, and of course, there's only 3 people that can actually own a beach. And so when I tried to get into it, there's only like 2 or 3 beaches that were even available, so I picked 2 of them and bought those 2. I started paying for those 2, and then since then I picked up a couple more. But back then it was really, really hard to get in. It was a waiting list. What happens is that you get one guy who doesn't want any competition, and so he buys all 3 spots on that beach, and which kind of I think shouldn't be able to be. I kind of questioned the fairness of that particular thing, but that's just the way it works.
I have seen that happen in some areas, and yeah, it is kind of unfortunate, and maybe not necessarily so much fair to the other people who want to get involved in it, but it still goes on. Yeah.
Like I said, it is what it is. But anyway, that's what happened. It was a cool find. The gal was really, really appreciative, and because of that, I think that's probably what inspired me to look into the ring finder thing. Nice. I'm really happy about being in that organization. It's provided me an awful lot of pleasure. That in addition to just finding stuff, I'm just being able to see the expression on somebody's face when they're sure they've lost this item forever. And you got it in your hand.
Right.
That is the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's given you the opportunity to make quite a number of people very happy, I'm sure.
Yeah. I go back every once in a while and I look at some of the videos that have some of the returns that I did record, and it's always fun to recall those the expressions and the excitement on somebody's face when they see that I've got that ring or that piece of jewelry.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Speaking of which, with your YouTube channel, for those who may be wondering, what sort of cameras or video editor do you use?
I use the camera that I've got a couple of cameras I use. I use a GoPro, and I put that on top on the bill on my cap, and I'll usually use that when I'm doing a ring return, because it's easier to actually video the people with that thing on the top of my hat. It isn't quite so good for the technical, actually digging and picking up stuff. So for that, I wear a camera on my chest, which is it's a Fuji. I don't know what the hell it is, some kind of a Fuji thing. something 80, I think, or FP80 or something. But it's a waterproof camera. Both of them are waterproof cameras. The one on my hat is a Session. It's a little small GoPro, that little cube.
Yep.
That doesn't have a display on it. I don't need enough on to put on top of my hat, but it's a very lightweight. It's a kind of a cool thing. And then and then the one on my chest is good because it has the macro capability. If I can actually show what's inside the scoop and when I'm holding in my hands when I pick up something, it just gives you a really nice close view of it. XP80, I think, is what it is. I've got a in the comments section of my videos. You can see pretty much all the gear that I use. And actually I've listed all the stuff that I use.
Oh, okay, but, down there in the description, much like Gravedigger Max does.
Yeah. I actually, fancy that. How about that? What a coincidence. Yeah, right.
Right. What sort of video editor do you use?
I started out using a Windows Movie Maker, and that was a great little program. I really liked it because it was you were able to manipulate clips. You know how you work with a lot of clips when you're doing this kind of a video,
right.
Just little segments, little snippets of video, and so the Movie Maker was a really good way to be able to get that stuff in, take it out, and mash it all together. But they no longer they no longer support Windows Movie Maker with the latest Windows versions. Yeah. And so I've gone to let me open it up here. It's Filmora.
Huh.
Filmora. And I like it. It's not too expensive, and it's a pretty traditional editor, with all of your images in a box up in the upper left, and you drag them down into a timeline, and then you do the editing on a regular timeline. It's not quite as idiot proof as the Movie Maker, but I've gotten used to it, and I'm learning more and more about it as I use it. I actually lost my capability of being able to use a Movie Maker when I lost my computer about 6 months ago. Everything I had, my whole computer just went TU. I just totally went away, and so I rebuilt the thing with the solid state drives and all kinds of cool stuff, and I got now my computer's got 4 on the floor, man. It's a rocking computer.
Nice.
But I can't run Windows Movie Maker. Maybe I could, but I think it would take some workarounds, and it would take some stuff that I'm not really into. And while I was trying to figure out Movie Maker, I downloaded the Filmora and started using it. So it's a heck of a lot easier than trying to do it in Photoshop. I also use Photoshop. I'm a photographer. I was a wedding photographer for about 12 years. I actually retired from that. I actually retired from that back in the early part of 17. Wow. I know my way around cameras and editing software, particularly photograph editing software.
And that does show in your videos. Your still shots are very, very good.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, I like to take my time and do good beauty shots. That's kind of my claim to fame, I can make some of these crappy old rings look pretty good.
Right.
But I use minimum amount of actual Photoshop editing. I actually just it's just basically manipulating lighting and having a good camera.
Right.
And you can get some pretty good shots. There's a feature that is in it isn't just Photoshop. There's a few editing programs that actually have it. It's called focus stacking. When you take a photograph of something, this is going to make your eyes glaze over, Josh. So just bear with me for a second here.
Well, I've been around Photoshop a bit.
when you take a photograph of a piece of jewelry, with a macro lens, which is a close-up lens,
Right.
your depth of focus is very, very shallow, and so you're going to get a nice clean image on the very front of the ring, but the rest of it is going to blur out. Now, what focus stacking does is it takes a series of images that are in focus all the way across the plane or all the way across the depth of whatever you're trying to shoot. So it's focusing, take a shot, focus, take a shot, focus, take a shot, focus, take a shot, and it does it like 10, 12 times. And then those 12 images then are stacked together, and then that goes through a processor that actually gives you an image that's all in focus. And
Right,
that's
condenses
what I
that
do
all into one image that has a pristine focus.
Exactly, and that's what you're seeing with my images. You're seeing those things processed with image stacking. I use that system. So everything that I shoot is always in focus.
Yeah, so it's kind of
cool.
bringing a talent from one hobby to another and combining.
That's right. If you're interested in that program that I use for focus stacking is pretty cool. It's what is it, Josh? I can't remember.
It's not the Photoshop version of it, is it?
No,
Like Adobe?
no. It's Helicon Focus 7, and those that's Helicon Focus 7, and if you run that program, and I think it's pretty cheap too. If you actually run that program, it can actually also control your camera if you have a good digital single lens reflex camera. Like you can actually hook it up to the camera, and the camera will actually automatically focus through the whole thing. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to use.
Wow, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, you have done very, very well with your videos as well as your photos. For anybody that is interested in, say, gold hunting, whether, as far as jewelry on the beach, and they check out your video that you've done recently with your kind of air testing of the different jewelry targets where they show up on the Equinox, what is the one thing that you think that you could give someone as far as advice that they can take away from that?
You don't mean you mean from that video?
Yeah.
Or from that video. Well, obviously the one thing that you got to take away from that is that you got to dig everything if you expect to find anything. If you expect to find everything that's out there, or any kind of good thing that's out there, you cannot trust the fact that just because it's not ringing where you think it should be ringing, that it's going to be trash. It just isn't going to be that way. And but I believe that goes true with just about any detector you have out there. I'm going to have haters that are going to be talking to you. I'm sure they're going to say their CTX 3030 is going to be able to tell you that it's a pull tab every time. But I know damn good and well that's not the truth.
Right, yeah, I've dug them where, that's, okay, it's a pull tab signal, but that's not a pull tab in that plug.
Yeah. So, regardless of what kind of machine you have, I think that I think you're gonna eventually be missing something good if you don't dig it all. You just are. I was really surprised that when I put that video out, I surprised myself that there was that much of a range of tones and VDI from one type of ring to the last type of ring that I put up there. I mean, it covered every tone on that. Every VDI, every number on that VDI scale.
That's actually what I liked about the video, though, because it showed, definitely that gold can show up anywhere in the scale.
Yeah. Yes, it sure can. Well, at least up to a certain point, and then I think that, well, actually, I mean, you're right. Everywhere on the scale, I think it kind of depends on the shape of the ring, and the weight of the ring, and the alloy the thing is made out of. You know, it's
Right.
it really there's a lot of variables when it comes to gold rings.
Yeah, whether it's a
just
thick band, a thin band, the alloys that are with it. Is it combined with another? Like, is it a gold and silver ring? What's the purity of the gold?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you think about, the basics of how a metal detector works, it's just a big magnetic coil, and I'm talking about basics, a big magnetic coil that is putting a magnetic field down into the sand, and when it hits a ring, when that magnetic field hits a ring, it turns that ring into a little coil, and it in turn puts out its own little a field, and so that's what the receiver is hearing. So you're inducing a field into a little teeny tiny coil, which that's what a ring is.
Right.
And depending upon the makeup of that ring, the size, the thickness, the alloy, the depth, the way it's situated in the sand, whether it's on end or whether it's flat, there's so many different variables that.
Or if it's broken.
Or if it's broken, you're kind of SOL because you no longer really have a coil. That's
Right.
the reason why they always sound so crappy. But that's basically how it works, and so you just can't trust what you think you know about your machine. You really can't.
Right. We've said many times on the show, don't put too much faith in the VDIs. Audio wins out over VDI.
I think so. I think that it really holds true. I think it definitely holds true with the Excalibur. Of course, you can't read a VDI on the Excalibur.
Right. Yeah, the screen is conspicuously missing on the Excalibur.
Yes, it's conspicuously missing. Absolutely. I really like working with my Excalibur, particularly after when I first hunted with my Excal, I did a lot of modifications to it. I bought a big old watt coil and stuck it on there, a big 15-inch watt, which is a really, at the time was the kind of the epitome of larger coils that were made available for the Sovereign, which would actually work on the Excal. And I routed the coil wire from my coil inside the shaft, and I put the pinpoint switch on there, and I did all kinds of stuff to make it really, really super lightweight, and I used the heck out of that thing in that configuration for a long time. But even at that it gets really tiring holding that weight out there on your arm. There's just no balance. But when I put the over-under system on that thing, where the pod was actually still on my arm and back behind my elbow, my whole world changed, man. I mean, it was just all of a sudden I could swing that mother all frickin' day long. It was just without any kind of fatigue whatsoever, because it was just hanging off my forearm. It wasn't hanging off my.
So much better balanced with that over and under.
Oh
setup. Man,
yeah, I just love it. Just love it. That's the only way I would go now. And I don't really care anymore if the wire is inside the coil. In fact, it's kind of a pain in the ass to have the wire inside the coil, because you're kind of committed to always having to have that lower shaft attached to that particular coil. You need to have a lower shaft for every coil, because you can't remove the lower shaft, because you got a connector that has to be pulled through that shaft in order for you to change coils.
Yeah, it makes a quick swap much more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually have to have a big coil with its shaft and a small coil with its shaft, and a different connector for each one of those things in order for it to work. And it's okay, but how many times do you change a coil out? I just don't find myself doing that often. Once I find a good coil that I really like, I use I use the hell out of it. I don't take it off. And I had that watt on there until it broke.
Right.
And I went with the Nell Attack, and that was a good coil. And then
nice.
And I went back to after a while, it just got to the point where it was just too noisy. There was something wrong with the Attack coils. I think the Attack, or a Nell coil, I think that they may have some issues with not very well sealed right where the wire goes into where the cable goes into the coil on a lot of Nell coils. Because I'm seeing and hearing a lot of people that are having some problems with that. With the machines after they use them for a while.
Interesting.
So and that's what happened with me. The attack coil went out, so I went back to the stock coil. Kind of glad I did. So I like the stock coil. Not quite so good in being able to cover a lot of area, but it's a good coil for the water.
Right. Not so much for coverage, but still good for its application.
Yeah. Good machine, Excalibur. Darn good machine, Excalibur. If you're a diver, or if you're going to be snorkeling, if you're going to go underwater at all with a machine, nothing's better than the Excal. It's really a good machine.
I would have to agree, yes. And I've even mentioned on the shows before that, if you're going to be a water hunter, the all-terrain machines like the AT series or the Equinox, the Amphibio, stuff like that, they're good machines in their proper applications. But if you're going to be a true water hunter, get yourself a dedicated water machine, and if you can afford it, spring for the Excalibur. Yeah.
Of course, you would never convince. What's his name? You mentioned his name a little while ago. The guy that found all those silver coins. Oh man, what's his name? He uses Garrett almost exclusively.
Aqua Sugar?
Yeah, Aqua Sugar. Yeah, you'd never convince him that Garrett's not a good water machine.
Well, he runs a few mine labs too.
I haven't watched him for a while. What is he doing now?
Well, as far as I know, he is still doing quite a bit for Garrett, but he also likes to get out and do his other adventuring as well, caving and exploring and hiking and just a well-rounded mix of things. It seems like he's uploading a video at the very least 3 times a week, if not daily.
He's a thoroughly enjoyable person to watch too. I'd like to meet him one day. He looks like he'd be a fun person to a fun person to take to a bar,
Oh, absolutely. He seems like he is a very, very personable gentleman for sure. Mm-hmm. I would have to agree. Definitely. So you've got your 15-inch coil there on your Equinox, and you think that's what you're sticking with. Any other plans for the future?
I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe coming up with something a little bit better than the waders that I have. But as far as machinery is concerned, I don't think so. Like I said, I think that MindLab is probably just it's just really set the bar on these machines. I'm looking forward to having other companies come up with something that's going to be equal to or if not better than what this thing does. And I'll be up and I'll be in line, to pick one up as soon as they do. But for the time being, this is all the machine I need. I'm not really getting out that much, Josh. I'm still working on these damn headphones. They're keeping me land bound here for a while.
Right.
And other mods. But I really do enjoy doing that. And it's kind of one hobby forsaking the other one, for the time being. And it's but I will get back out again, and when I do, I'll be looking for other kinds of equipment to purchase and review. I'm not just super hung up on any particular one machine. The reason I'm liking the Equinox is that it's so bloody handy. I can just grab it and go. It's a Swiss Army knife of metal detectors.
That's a great way to put it. It is very, very versatile.
Yeah, really.
You just can't beat that machine. That is a nice one. And you're right. I do think that MindLab did set the bar with that. They've really hit it out of the park with this one, I do believe.
Yeah. I do think so. I am kind of curious to know what how. There is a lot of hype. You mentioned it before. The Nocta, the
Amphibio.
Yeah, the Amphibio. That I've seen some comparisons. I'm a little skeptical about on the results, but I'll be interested to see what time in real life experience does for that machine.
Right.
If it keeps on doing well, I might consider picking up one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, the more that it's out there being used and the more that we see people posting finds, what they've found with it, what they're doing with it, the more appealing that machine could be as a purchase option to many people, because it's right there in generally the very same price point area.
Oh, is that right? So it's close to the same price point, huh?
I believe it is very close to the same price point as what we've seen for, say, the Equinox 800.
Oh, yeah, really?
I may be a little off on that, but we're right there around that area. Maybe 800 or 900.
So you're going to get one?
No, probably not. And my reasoning behind that is, like you said, the Equinox is working just fine for me. The Deus is working just fine for me. And, I like being lightweight, and the Amphibio weighs in heavy compared to the Equinox or the Deus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like you said, unless they come up with something that is significantly better for the same price point, I'll stay with what I got. I'm perfectly happy staying with an Ox for a while.
Right. Yeah, I would have to agree. That's not to say the Amphibio is a bad machine, but I just don't think it's going to suit my particular situation as well as the Equinox or the Deus. But still, very good contender.
Right. Right now, the Amphibio is getting some pretty heavy duty press. I mean, they're pushing hard to get that bugger out there.
Yeah, they are.
And they're fighting a kind of a downstream battle because of the fact that the Equinox has done so well. So they got a fight on their hands. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at Detective All, we saw, even before Detective All, we saw a lot of hype about the Equinox, and it took a while to get them out to the customers. But since they've been out, we're seeing very, very good results from them.
That was the show that I was talking about that I saw, or the first one that I saw.
Right. And I think the more that people see from them, the more, because I'm sure you saw posts or heard remarks too early on about, it's just all hype. It's, it's smoke and mirrors. It's not going to perform like they make it out to. But we've seen very good results from it. It is a strong performer.
Uh-huh. Well, those are usually, I think a lot of those comments come from guys who've just put out the $2,000 for another machine, for a different kind of machine.
Right. Yeah, that's a good possibility too, because they don't want to admit that maybe they went the wrong direction.
Oops, I mean, the worst kind of buyer's remorse, really.
Right. But the important part is that they have to find what works for them.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Well,
I should like this hobby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I really like this hobby.
You can't find anything better. It gets you out in the outdoors. You're exercising. It is, in a sense, for some of us, actually paying us back, at least a little bit. You get to recoup a little bit of that cost of the buyer's remorse.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
so
it's
you can't beat that.
It's because, like you said, the exercise part of it is you can't kick that either. I mean, my wife is always on me to try to watch my girlish figure, and that's definitely one way that I can kind of keep things healthy.
Right. Not to mention all the connections that we make, the friendships that we make, and the other people's lives that we affect, having an impact on them by returning those items. Yeah.
That's really kind of cool. When I was out on the beach almost every morning, I used to go out to Del Mar almost every morning. A couple of years ago, what happened to me back in early 2017, my mom passed, and prior to that, a huge part of what I did in the way of hunting and coming up with stuff was shared with her, and a great big chunk of joy kind of left when she passed, because I didn't have her to kind of kick things around with, and so there was a period of time there where I didn't go out much, because it just it lost some flavor to me. But prior to that,
fun when you can't enjoy it with others.
Yeah, exactly. But prior to that, I was on the beach, pretty much every other day. I mean, I was really going out a lot, and when you go out a lot, you find a lot,
Right.
So, but what's really neat about that is that it was an early morning thing. I'd go at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning, and there was people out there who were also out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Not other hunters particularly, but people were running their dogs and walking, etc. That you kind of got to know those folks. And it was really kind of neat, because after a while it was like a community, you'd stop and you'd just chat with the person that had the little dog, and how's the puppy, and I'd bring some little doggy treats, to give them, to share with their pets. I mean, it's a real commuteless thing, to parts of this hobby, like you say, meeting people and sharing that joy with people out there is really, really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have to agree. Sometimes it's not always just about what we're finding, but what we're gaining in other ways by helping other people or making those new friendships.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
And then every now and then somebody gets an idea to, hey, let's make a pair of headphones, and now look at all your time.
Yeah. I mean, you even get to be buddies with the lifeguards and the folks that drive the trucks up and down the beach. The cleaners and stuff. I mean, it gets to be a kind of a little community, down there.
Right, and I'm sure word spreads far and wide when an item's lost. Hey, I got a friend. Call Tony.
Absolutely. I mean, for a long time, I got a lot of calls just from the lifeguard station down there, because they knew who I was.
Nice.
I knew the lifeguard, the chief of lifeguards, very well.
That always helps. That definitely helps.
In fact, he came up to me.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, he came up to me one time. This is the chief lifeguard at Del Mar, and actually gave me a ring that somebody had found. And you're going to have he says, here, take this. You're going to have a lot better chance at finding the owner than I am. It's okay, I'll give it a shot, man. Why not?
Right? Yeah. I mean, it seems kind of silly to some people, but I've actually had that happen to me as well. And it's like, well, okay, I didn't find it, but I can try to do my due diligence to return it.
Yeah.
Not a problem there.
That particular ring, I still own. I never could find the owner of it. It looks great in my display case.
There you go. Well, it still fills another slot.
Do you sell your rings? Do you get rid of this stuff that you find? Your basic finds?
I have not, at least to this point. That's not to say where sometime in the future I may have to resort to that. But so far, no. Every ring that I have recovered, I either have kept here in a display or have returned to its rightful owner.
I got the exact same situation. Well, with this one caveat, a lot of the silver rings that I find, my daughter has them. She likes the damn silver.
Well,
it's okay.
I guess apparently it's better in her jewelry box than your display.
Absolutely, and I know where to find it. I know where she lives, so it's always available.
Well, and I'm sure every time you bring a piece like that home, it still kind of brings a smile to her face, which in return kind of gives you a pat on the back. Then going, I did a good thing.
Well, my daughter is getting close to 50 now, so it's not like she's It's not like she's waiting at the dinner table when I come wandering in the house. She has to either see my video or she has to be over here pawing through the stuff that I have in my display case. God, I really like that one.
Oh, well,
Okay.
see, now you can kind of turn it into a game and hide it in a video or something.
Yeah, there you go. You want to know what I got? Look at the vids.
Right, yeah. We'll get them subscribers one way or another.
That's funny. I think I might use that.
Yeah, because then you never know. She may call you up out of the blue. Hey, I saw that video. What'd you do with that ring?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. She just likes silver in general. I found a lot of silver stuff that she hoards.
Well, see, if she calls you like that, you can always tell her, well, I was just testing you, seeing if you were watching.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something to work into a future video. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Definitely. Also,
yeah, she's been in a few of my videos. A couple of them. I went to the desert one time. I took a video of it out there.
Nice. Very nice. Also, if I remember correctly, you were in the service. So before we get out of here, I would like to thank you for your service.
You're welcome, man. That was a long time ago.
Right. That was
ago.
quite a while back. That seems like another lifetime now, right? But
yeah, kind of. I was a Navy nuclear electrician back in the 60s and early 70s. I was actually stationed on board the USS George Washington Carver, which was a fleet ballistic missile submarine, nuclear powered.
wow.
Back in the 60s. It was called one of the 41. It was one of the 41 for freedom. There was 41 fleet ballistic FBMs built around that time, all kind of after the George Washington class of boat. And every one of them is gone nowadays. They're all gone. They've all been changed. They've all been cut up into razor blades.
Right. Decommissioned and scrapped.
Yep.
Well,
It
still.
was a good,
That,
interesting period, interesting time in history, 60s and 70s.
Right. Yes, it was. A lot of changes going on around then.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess before we do get out of here, perhaps you would like to let people know where to find you.
Well, I'm not going to give you my address, but I'll tell you that they can if you they can, I'm not really, I don't have a huge web presence, but if you Google idigbeaches.com, all one word, you're going to wind up on my YouTube channel, and that's about my biggest web presence. I also, of course, there's also the RingFinders presence, and I can't remember how you do that. It's
TheRingFinders.com.
Yeah, TheRingFinders.com. Then you could just search for Tony Eisenhower if you wanted to find me there.
Right.
But outside of that,
if you search Tony Eisenhower, The Ringfinders, it'll take, Google will bring up your profile on RingFinders first.
Yeah, that's true. If you just Google me, you'll find me. I mean, I've got. I mentioned I was in theater for a while, and of course I have the wedding photography. So you're still going to see a lot of stuff that'll pop up if you just Google my name. But if you want to see that, if you're interested in basically what I do for the hobby, for the metal detecting hobby, you're going to need to go. You're going to need to get on the idigbeaches.com, the YouTube channel.
Right.
It's a gooder. Yeah, I mean, you can also, if you wanted to email me, it's Tony at idigbeaches.com. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk to anybody. Be glad to answer any questions. If anybody has any questions about headphones or about modifications to Excaliburs or metal detectors in general, I can usually help you out by actual knowledge or faking it, one of the two.
Right. I mean, you have had quite a fair amount of experience in the hobby and in the aspect of modification and fabrication.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And usually I just, if anybody wants to know how to do this stuff, I mean, like I said, I don't really need a job, so I'm not that I'm not that private about how I do these things. If anybody just wants to know how to do something, give me a call, man, or let me know. I'll be happy to tell you everything that I know about how I do mods. In fact, I've got procedures written up. If you email me, I can actually tell you how to put in a pinpoint switch, or I can tell you how to modify headphones or install a coil. I can even tell you how to repair a coil if you're interested.
Yeah, I mean, many times you're just talking a little bit of mechanical ability and basic soldering skills. Yeah,
you're going to have some skills, and you need to have. It's not for a lot of these mods are just not for the faint of heart, right. And or for people with shaky hands. You're going to need to have shaky fingers. You need to have a little bit of knowledge and a few basic skills to be able to pull this stuff off. But it's not rocket science. It can be done by most people with a little patience and good eyesight, which in your case would be a real problem, Josh.
Yeah, I'd have to hire that out.
And by the way, if you guys don't know what this guy looks like, I'm looking at him right now on my screen. This is one fuzzy bugger. This Josh guy here. He has some kind of amazing facial hair. I'll tell you, the salt and pepper on this guy. I mean, it's looking pretty good. I mean, we're not talking Santa Claus, but we're damn close to it here.
Right. The wife says the Grizzly Adams look isn't working for me, so I'll probably have to clean it up before Christmas.
Yeah, Grizzly Adams. That's the look I'm thinking of. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And also, I can't let you get away from this, and without actually telling your followers what those headphones look like. This guy's got these gamer headphones on that makes him look like some kind of alien, man. They got these blue blinking LED lights all over his head. He's quite the image. He's quite the image. Yes. If you get an opportunity to Skype him, do so. I think you get a kick out of it.
Right. And I do hire out my services. I do a great impersonation of a Christmas tree this time of the year.
Or at least the topper, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Well, you have been just an absolute pleasure to speak with tonight, Tony.
Well, likewise, buddy. It's been good talking to you as well.
Yes, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us tonight. You have been a pleasure, and hope to hear from you again sometime.
Well, I'm sure we'll be. I'm sure we're not going to lose contact. I mean, I got your number, you got mine. So let's make sure we'll stay on board with the communication. I do think we should do that.
Well, there you go. I guess for everyone else, if you enjoyed the show, make sure and throw us a like. You can follow us right here on Spreaker and many of the other wonderful podcast distribution services out there. Don't forget, tomorrow, Jocelyn Elizabeth and Drew Wahalik will be on Relics Radio. Going to be a good show. Loy and Jeff do a great job over there. Other than that, make sure and check out the Facebook groups, Adventures in History, Ohio Relic Hunter, Beyond Sight and Sound. Many, many wonderful groups out there to check out. Don't forget our friends over at XP Team USA, our friends at Shooters and Prospectors, Extreme Scoops, and while you're at it, you're online anyway. Check out I Dig Beaches and Tony Eisenhower's channel as well. Definitely a great guy to talk to. And I think we're going to get on out of here, so hang in there with me for a minute, Tony. I'm going to roll the music, and I'll be back to you in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, buddy. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all, and anything else that you guys might be celebrating.
Right, and Merry Christmas to you and your family, as well as the listeners out there. Have a very Merry Christmas. If you're traveling for the holidays, please, by all means, travel safely. So, for the rest of us, I think we're going to roll on out, but for everyone else, have a wonderful evening. Post up those photos if you got them. You know how we love to see them. Until the next time, we'll see you on the pages.